Thanks for joining me. You're watching the In Deep on the Delta weekly Delta fishing report for the week of September 3rd. And I want to start off by just congratulating Dean Wu and his family for putting together the food allergy kayak bass fishing tournament. It was a great tournament up at Pardee on Saturday the 29th. I went up there and it was just a really great fishing community that supports that tournament. I'm really looking forward to seeing that tournament grow in the coming years, and just had a good time. I want to thank all you guys for coming by and saying hello. I enjoyed chatting with you. I also want to congratulate the winner, who was, hopefully I don't mispronounce the name here, but I'm going to give him a shout out anyhow. And the tournament was won by Pu Yang, 76.5 inches, and Pu was nice enough to let me, again, sorry if I mispronounce your name, nice enough to let me take a photo with him, and he was nice enough to let me hold his trophy. So I'm a big fan of yours now. Congratulations, and thanks for letting me hold that trophy. All right, with that, we'll get right into fishing conditions on the Delta, and then we'll talk about the reports. And the reports, the start of the week didn't turn out weren't going very well, but I'll tell you, since these weather patterns have been coming in, for some reason the fishes seem to turn on, at least for me, in the last couple days. So water temperatures out there, we'll just call it 60 to 62. They're not fluctuating like they were a week ago. The evening temperatures have been pretty cool, but the daytime temperatures have also been cool. So it's holding there at 60 to 62. We've had some wind, a little bit of rain, so the visibility is about, I'll say, 3 to 5 feet. Still a lot of hyacinth breaking up and running down. Also, I'm seeing these big logs, and they're not the logs that are way up high where you can see them. Be careful out there, because the logs that are floating down the river now, they're not the huge trees, but they're big enough to where it's going to cause a lot of problem if you hit them, and they're just right under the surface or right above, sticking out of the water, kind of waterlog type stuff. So be careful when you're running around out there. All right, with that being said, we'll get into the stripers. Jeff Suhu was out last Friday Saturday and Sunday. And again, the stripers are not on a tear. People are catching fish, but it's just kind of floating along. The fish are in the river. Jeff's catching fish. He's having to work to find them, and he's drifting mudsuckers, and he's putting limits for everyone on his boat, every day. Problem is, it's just not a wide open bite, and the fish aren't huge. They're keeper sized to about 24 inches. Lots of action, but we're all hoping that that's going to get better. With that being said, I got a report from Alan Fong, and Alan has really been working the San Joaquin, and for Alan, that's a little out of his wheelhouse. Being from Sacramento, he's generally fishing that Liberty Island, Rio Vista, Sacramento River up there, all the sloughs off of that. But Alan's reporting that has been really tough for him. So the last couple of weeks he has been on the San Joaquin side. He's working the West Delta from Prisoner's Point out to Sherman Island, out that way, and he's catching fish. Alan's getting out early. He's catching a fish on top water for about half an hour, 45 minutes. When that stops, he's throwing glide baits and fish traps, and doing very well, getting good numbers of fish, putting 20 to 25 fish in the boat a day, and most of those fish are keeper size up to about 8 pounds. I'm also getting a lot of reports. The guys that are catching the bigger stripers are getting them on topwater baits early in the morning, but that bite doesn't last for more than about an hour, if that. So if you want the big ones, get out early, fish some big glide baits, stay on the channel, look for birds. A lot of the fish are being caught on flats that are, I'll say, 2 to 4 feet deep around Thule Islands, and there's just been a lot of fish reported around those types of areas. So that's the striper report. We'll get right into the largemouth bass, and it started out pretty stinky this week. The last couple of weeks have been pretty stinky, and for me, it kind of changed. Was it Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday when the weather came in. the fish seem to get a lot more active. So I want to read some of the reports that I got from last weekend and Monday, and then we're going to get into that ABA tournament. So Rob, not Rob Cloutier, but Rob called in. He's fishing jerkbaits, only a couple of keepers and a ton of dinks. Ken caught smalls, Bubba Walker and Cincos, nothing over 2 pounds, or excuse me, one fish over 2 pounds. He did have a topwater bite. They were coming up and they were swirling around his Bubba Walker, but there were no takers, so take that for whatever it's worth. Paul was out. He was catching fish on square bills and jerk baits. Nothing over 3 pounds, and his deal was he was waiting 5 to 10 seconds between pauses for the jerk baits, and that's how he was catching them on the jerk baits. Sadly was out. The bite was good for an hour on square bills, craw color, all small. No fish on jerk baits or no fish punching. Glenn sent in maybe the best report, and that's not even a nibble. Sorry about that, Glenn. Dale had caught some fish on crankbaits. He caught a couple of nice ones, but mostly small fish again. So that's kind of how all the reports were coming in at the end of last week, and maybe the in towards the last weekend. Now the ABA tournament was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 44 boats, and this was their TOC. And just to be fair, about half of these guys they're all good fishermen, but half of them don't fish the Delta a whole lot. So with that being said, it's understandable that some of them had tough weights, but the problem was first 2 days of fishing were separated from the third day. The first 2 days combined weight was the first part of the tournament, and then Sunday they fished for the bass boat. 36 pounds won the tournament for 2 days. That's about 18 pounds a day. 27 guys failed to put limits in the boat out of the 44. That's tough fishing, and most of the guys that were right around the middle and down, they were picking up, I'll say 5 to 9 pounds a day. Real tough fishing. Rob and Nick Cloutier from the Bass Hole, they ended up in 4th place. Tough conditions. Congratulations. The big congratulations is going to come for the Sunday tournament, and that's when people were fishing for the boat. I think they had 20 boats go out Sunday, and I don't know how the weights combined and everything, but for some reason only 7 guys weighed in on Sunday. That's telling you that, you know, I think it was a winner take all, and that was for the Bass Cat bass boat. So a lot of guys that didn't weigh in probably had fish, but they knew they weren't going to have the weights to win the boat. Guess what? Congratulations to Rob and Nick, Rob Cloutier and Nick Cloutier. They pulled out a 24-pound bag and won the Bass Cat boat. So congratulations, guys. You guys know Rob is a friend of the channel. He's giving me reports every week, so big congrats on them. I'm going to be doing an interview with Rob and Nick, and they're going to spill the beans just how they did it, because I know those guys were both having trouble up until the time of the tournament, and somehow they got out of that funk. And we're going to talk about what they did to get out of that funk and win a new boat. So congratulations to them. It's starting to rain. I'm going to talk about what I did, and real quick, I had been really stinking up the place until this rain came in, and it's raining out. We got about 2 minutes. The last 2 days, and I just got off the water about a half an hour ago. It is Wednesday. I've had a really good bite with not super quality fish, but a lot of 2 to 2.5 pound fish. I'm catching them on that jerk bait, the stunted that I was using last week, and I'm catching them on a lipless crankbait. I'm fishing the channel. I'm fishing Thule Islands, and I was fishing in places that I thought I would be catching stripers. I was actually fishing for stripers, but that's where I have found my fish, and I have a feeling that this next week you're going to see the bite improving. There's not a lot of pressure out there, but boy, since this Tuesday, when that rain and the front started moving in, for some reason the fish have really gotten a lot more active, and I'm suggesting if you want to go out there and fish, get out there and do it. You might be catching some fish. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button. It's starting to rain now, and I'm kind of glad I got off the water because I didn't want to stay on the water while it was raining. I might melt out there. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.